What's up, everybody? Well, I got another Steam Deck gameplay video for you guys today. And today, we're going to revisit Gotham Knights on all the stuff. Steam Deck, laptop, secondary, and primary computers. Now, why, you ask? Well, first playthrough here was not very good. It had just come out, was not running good at all. It was running like absolute crap. But after that, it had a 22 gigabyte update, followed by like another 8 gig update. And then just recently, it just had another 3, and then another, I think, 7.2 today or yesterday. So, figured, why don't we just go and run through all of the resolutions again, see how it does now. And obviously, if it still runs like crap, we'll just wait again and wait for some more updates, and we'll have to come back and try again later. But I'm hopeful that it at least runs halfway decently now, which for me on the Steam Deck is like 25 to 30 FPS. So, anyway, let's hop on in, look at some settings, and get a little gameplay in. Now this time, since we've already done this game, I'm not going to sit here getting like 2-3 minutes for each individual thing. I think we'll just stick with a minute and some change for each thing, just to make it go a little bit smoother, a little bit quicker, since we've already seen this game once before. This is mostly just an update video. And that's pretty much what I'll name it. I'll probably just name it like Gotham Knights Update. How does it run? Something like that. Anyway, enough blabbing. Let's get this thing hooked up, and let's get to making some videos here.
All right. Before we get into the game, let's go through the settings really quick here on the Steam Deck. I maxed out the field of view. We're just going to have all that stuff be on, and we're going to start off on low this time just for fun. Kind of like what I do with the rest of the stuff. And we'll just work our way up. And then I'll have a little camera gameplay with settings I would recommend at the end. So, now, let's get into the game. Well, here we go on low. Now, I will admit, I accidentally left TAA on for all of this, so if you turn that off, it would probably be a more consistent 30. Yeah. Rather than dropping down in low 20s right now, but it is what it is. We'll still just get some gameplay. And this is still way better than it was before, so I'll take it. But the GPU is still just chilling at like no megahertz, so they haven't fixed that yet, unless that's how it's supposed to go, but I feel like I have more FPS I could have. You know what I mean? Alright though, this is a good spot to move on, so let's do just that. Okay, moving on to some medium now. But before that, of course, we'll just go through these settings. And there we go, that's the bottom, so let's get into the game. Well, here we go. Let's get some medium gameplay in now. We're dropping down under 20 already. Yep, and around 20-ish on the freaking floor here. So yeah, this is not the greatest. But I'm pretty sure later on, once I realize I can use FSR, I'll go do some FSR testing with some camera part. That's what I included anyway. I was basically just like, alright, well, this isn't running very good, so let's turn FSR on and just mess with the settings to my own accordance using the presets. So that's what I kind of did at the end of the video. Sorry if that sounded kind of confusing there for a second. And I still did all the FSRs before that, too. I just wished I wouldn't have forgotten to turn the anti-aliasing off. Because for all I know, that's why it's getting so fucking low, under 20 all the time. Although it might not matter that much at all. Train is going
He's
by.
even bigger than Batman.
Can't wait to not have to hear that anymore at the new house. It's like more than a mile away and I can still hear it and it still shakes the house. Now we're moving on to high. And we can't try ray tracing out at all. Steam Deck very rarely supports ray tracing. I think even games that Matt made, it doesn't actually work properly. At least that's what I've been told. But anyway, that's the bottom, so back to the game. Well, let's get ourselves a little high gameplay now.
So that's the big guy. Sure try.
A vigilante, they won't last.
Whoa, is that a real vigilante?
It sure is a real vigilante.
They can be used against you. No.
Almost ran into a train. That wouldn't have been very good.
Oh. Why?
Still, though, I will say it's doing a little better than it did before. All these updates, that's
At
for
least
sure.
someone's standing up.
It's
for the
not like, oh
games.
my god, night and day difference, but definitely a little better. All right, on to highest now. But first, a quick romp through the settings. And that's the bottom. So, back to the game. And now we're on highest, so we'll just scroll around, get a little bit more gameplay here. And honestly, the FPS seems to be very similar no matter what I do.
Could that be Red Hood?
It could, and it is.
I hope you know what you're doing.
Good luck.
I sure hope they got a plan.
All right, well, let's go up here. That's my plan.
I hope you'll be able to help.
People like
I'll try. So far, I haven't seen too much crime.
Shit, you're Red Hood.
What? Another vigilante?
Alright, though. Let's go land and move on. Now we're going to try some FSR out, but this is such a low resolution, it's probably not going to help much, but I'll take any help I can get with this game. So it is FSR 2 as well. I don't know what, but just FSR 2, which is way better than 1, so I'll take it. And we'll just leave everything else on highest, because I'd like to get playable FPS on that. If I can, might not be able to, probably won't be able to, but hell, I'm going to try it anyway. So now, let's go try it out. Well, FSR time. This is FSR Quality. And yeah, like I thought, the second you turn FSR on, if you don't use sharpness anyway, it looks pretty bad. I'll probably play around with the sharpness slider a little, because I'm probably going to end up using this for my gameplay. I'm just going to have to mess with the other settings and not have everything be on highest when I do what I would do for my version of gameplay on this thing. And it's still probably not going to stay at 30 all the time. I don't think it will no matter what I do, but I'm still going to give it a damn good shot.
Let's go, let's go, let's go!
Damn, all the way down to 18. Well, it's still better down to like 10,
Cool,
like
Costa.
I was doing before. So I'll take it.
They don't have a hope in hell.
Thing is taking
All right,
forever.
though. Why don't we go ahead and move on to the next FSR setting now. Now we're going to do some FSR Balanced. So again, let's look at our settings really fast. All right, into the game we shall go. Now for some FSR 2 Balanced here. And really, it just kind of looks like more like crap, and we didn't really get too many more FPS, if any at all. I don't really think it changed at all. No, it didn't.
Who is that?
Still, though, could be worse. And we've got a wind advisory, so hopefully I don't lose power.
So, what was it?
I want to prize for being
All right.
today's lucky shot.
To the next FSR setting. Now, FSR Performance, I do believe. So yep, that is exactly what it is. So, let's just scroll through the rest of these settings really fast here, and then we can get into the game. Alright, game time it is. The time is now for FSR Performance. So let's run around again. No, we're still getting about the same as before. It just keeps looking worse and worse and keep getting about the same performance. We've picked up an FPS or two.
doing.
That's
take
alright, let's
anything.
still get a little bit of gameplay in here.
Watch yourself. Whoa, is that a real vigilante?
Oh, the vigilantiest of vigilantes. Oh, can't jump on the train. Lame. I wanted to hop right on the train, but it doesn't let me do cool shit like that. Alright, though. Next FSR. Last FSR setting before we get into my settings. And camera gameplay as well. Is Ultra Performance FSR 2. So, one last time here for the FSR anyway. Let's scroll through the settings. There we go. Well, now how do we go ahead and just jump right into the game now? Here we go, FSR Ultra Performance. I'm pretty sure there is a game in these pixels somewhere, if you look hard enough. Ah, but there he is, I found him. Nah, I'm just playing, I can actually see him, but still. Looks pretty pixelated and terrible, doesn't it? And yet, still dropping down into the low 20s, so really I don't think it's helping much. Might be hurting, because all we're doing is making the CPU bottleneck worse. Yep, what this game needs is for me to just play around with the settings a little bit, and then I'll come back at the end of this video and get those settings and some tiny bit of screen recorded at those settings, and then some camera recorded at those same settings. So I think that'll be a good way to do it.
I'm sorry about that. Maybe I'll go to my
Although I
aunt's
still
house.
messed up and forgot to turn the TAA off. I can't believe I messed that one up. So I might have to come back and redo the Steam Deck one here. Once it's done charging up, I'm going to go back in there and see. But anyway, let's move on to my settings now. Well, now, this is going to be my settings. I play around with it for a little bit, and this seemed to be a pretty good balance. Because it seems like if you go too low on the settings, it fucks your frame rate up. If you go too high on the settings, it fucks your frame rate up. So I turned the field of view down. I did 5 on the sharpening, quality FSR 2, and then a custom. I wanted textures to be high, shadows can be low. We got 2 things on medium, FX and post, and then view distance on low, and environment density also on low, since the CPU is not so strong. To the game. Here we go now. A little gameplay with my settings now. I don't think it looks too bad. And sure, we're not staying at 30 all the time, but compared to dropping down into the low teens, this is pretty freaking awesome. And yet it doesn't look, you know, awful for what it is. Obviously, it's not going to look as good as 4K max graphics or anything, but at least we're getting playable frame rates now. I'd prefer to still stay above 30, but with a game like this, it seems like playable is going to be down to 20. You see, even when I do shit like that, we still drop down to 19 for a split second. But as long as it's not doing that constantly all the time, I'm all right. Yeah, it seems like we only drop down to 21 every once in a while when we're doing our grappling hook like crazy person through the freaking place. All right, now it seems to be more light orientated, because I'm coming over here to where all these neon lights are, and we're dropping down to the low 20s again. And there's a bunch of these lights too, so I wonder if it's lighting. And see, now that we're getting away from all of that, we're getting a little bit more FPS. We're getting up to 26. Interesting. Still, I'd say this is still about the best you can get, unless you want to fiddle with the settings more, but I'm going to go do some camera now.
Alright, now let's get ourselves a little camera gameplay now. Unfortunately, though, the game just can't quite get 30 FPS even. But let's turn this up a little so you guys can hear it. Because if there's one thing the Steam Deck did really fucking good, besides a lot of other things, they did a great job on the speakers. Since this thing is a bigger unit than most of the other ones, they fit a little bit nicer speakers in there. That's the one complaint I've heard about most of the, or I've seen about most of the Windows-based ones of these. They all have, like, pretty cheap-ass thumbsticks, which Steam Deck did a great job on those. And a lot of times they do bad on the D-pad as well, and then horrible on the speakers. But there are a couple of them that have a much better screen than this, though. So, there's hits and misses here. There is no, oh well, there's just one solution that's the best no matter what. That's why I'm glad there's choices. And it's really hard to beat this thing for $650 or $350 if you want the 64 gig version and just want to put everything on an SD card. Because really, I haven't noticed a big, huge difference for most games from SD card to M.2. I just wanted the 512 so I could fit a lot of games on it without having to uninstall all the time. And then also have a 1 terabyte drive. But yeah, a lot of people would probably say this is still completely playable. I mean, Pokemon, the new Pokemon game is running at pretty much these kind of FPSs, and it don't even look half this good. Not to mention all the other bugs. I just kind of wish the frame times were a little better. And the FPS and everything else, but I mean, I will say this is probably a little bit more playable than it was before. I think last time I tried to do like my settings, I was dropping under like 20 FPS all the time, like down to like 15 with like these same settings. And now we're sitting up 25 to 27, 30 even sometimes. So definitely improved. I can't sit here and say the updates did nothing. I just think the Steam Deck might just be a little bit too weak for this kind of game. With the way it's coded anyway. There's obviously much more graphically intensive games that it plays much better than this, so it's mostly just a coding problem. I think they just relied too much on the CPU to do a bunch of shit, and that's the one place the Steam Deck kind of falls flat on its face. It's just a 4-core, 8-thread CPU, and I think it's a Zen 2? Yeah, I think it's like basically a 3000 series Ryzen chip in there. So it's not 5000 series, it's definitely not 7000 series, but it does have an RDNA 2 GPU, which is what gives it most of its brunt. Back when this came out, there was like, everything else had those crappy Vega graphics. Like, this thing even has better graphics than the freaking GPU or CPU combo, the 5600G that I put in my mom's computer. This thing's GPU smokes that thing. Obviously, the 5600G smokes this CPU hardcore, but that's besides the point. It's still doing that same crap where the GPU isn't fully utilizing. I will say this, though, at least it's going up into the 900s. Before, it was at like 500 all the time. But that's what it was doing on my AMD GPU on my laptop as well. It was also just kind of chilling at like 900 to 1000 megahertz. It would never go up to its 2400 no matter what settings I used. Oh wow, look at this. We're all the way up into the 30s. Well, I'll be damned. Away! Do a little zip lining. Because I know people are going to like zip lining. I mean, that's half the fun in the Batman game is a zip lining around the frickin' city. And it's cool that he's got a thing, like a little jet burst to like protect him from like splatting on the pavement if I go too high and jump down too far. But yeah, I'm sure some people could actually enjoy this with these settings. It's not over 30 all the time like I would personally like, but a lot of people are not as sensitive to this kind of crap as I am, where they're just like, ooh, I like the game. It doesn't get 5 FPS. Alright, cool, I'll play, you know, so to each their own. And even though I dog on this game a lot because of its performance, if you actually enjoy playing the game, that's cool. I just don't like the performance of the game. I haven't actually gotten far enough in the game to, you know, really comment much on the story or nothing. I've just been waiting to play until they kind of make it a little bit better performing. But it looks like this is just one game I'm not going to play at all on my Steam Deck. Most of the time I'll like start off gaming in my other game room. It'll get to be about 1, 2, and I'll be like, let's go into my bedroom and just start wrapping it up or winding down, and I'll just play some games on the Steam Deck. I'll usually just start playing the game I was playing, or maybe if it's an intensive game that won't get me sleepy, I'll play something a little less intensive. But anyway, I think that's good enough. So they definitely improved the game. I still would say it needs a little bit more work on the Steam Deck. If they can actually verify it and get it to at least get 30 FPS on low all the time, that would be great. I'm not expecting to be able to play it like maxed out or anything. But if they could, you know, get me a little bit more FPS, that'd be great. But I don't know if there's too much left in the tank. I feel like they've already pretty much done most of what they can do in all those big updates. So I'm not going to hold my breath, but hey, at least it's playable on the Steam Deck for people now. Not my version of playable, but more than playable for a lot of people. So that's about it for this. Let's go wrap this video on up with the outro now. Well, alright guys, that's a wrap for Gotham Knights on the Steam Deck. And while it's not my version of playable, it's definitely a lot more playable than it was when it first came out. That thing was getting like 15 FPS, like even on like low and shit in some areas. Whereas now, I ran around both camera and screen for a while in the same settings, and we were sticking around 22 to 20 or 30. We were a lot better. We didn't drop into the teens a bunch like we did on the other settings. So obviously my settings helped out a lot too. So you can just copy those at the end if you want to get the same experience I was getting, or you can tinker to your heart's content to try to get the FPS you want and the graphics you want. So I like the Steam Deck. But unfortunately, I think this Steam Deck CPU is just a little bit too slow for this game, and that's mostly the coder's fault. I feel like they were like, hey, it works on a 13900K or a 12900K and a 5950X. Therefore, it works on everything. Go! Who knows, though? I don't know how all that works, so maybe it's not that easy, and I'm being facetious. Who knows? But anyway, that's about all I got for you guys for this particular video. Now it's time for me to move on to the Asus G15 Advantage and see how that handles this game now. So that should be fun. Hopefully they can at least get somewhat around 60 FPS for that. I kind of just want games to be 30 plus on the Steam Deck, and on the laptop I just hope for most of the time 60 FPS and 100 plus for first-person shooters and whatnot. But anyway, That's all I got for you guys for this video. Hope you enjoyed, and until the next one, peace out, guys.